Note, this is in South LA, and we are looking at a SUV that is now stopped.
It's almost
in a residential area.
A white SUV, and the driver's got the window open, and we don't know much about
it looks like there was something coming from the
this
vehicle.
pursuit took place, but you can see that driver's side tire smoking right there. So perhaps he's run over something. Do we know what street this is on?
We don't, but from what we understand a little bit before we got onto this pursuit here, we understand that there were some spike strips that were laid down on the street, and so that perhaps is why there is
driver's side
smoke
tire
emanating there from the tires. So a police pursuit now underway on surface streets in South LA, and we just saw one of the LA Sheriff's Department helicopters there overhead. Look at him as he goes across that intersection there and across that crosswalk. Two people crossing that crosswalk as he makes this left turn.
Onto Normandy. He's on Normandy now. Now this is a white Chevy, excuse me, turned off Normandy. This is a white Chevy Tahoe. Looks like a early 90s model. And we're told that the suspect is believed to be armed and dangerous, according to the LA sheriffs. I think armed says it all if you're in a police pursuit.
Armed and dangerous. At this point, we do believe or can only see one person in this vehicle.
Now, we're told the driver's been driving in circles and that he's trying to talk to people as he drives past them. That was when he was in the area of Vermont and about 43rd. But you can see
he's blocked.
He's not going very fast through this neighborhood. He was reaching speeds of up to 60 miles an hour at one point, but it looks like he's taking it slow in these residential streets.
Then he's slowing down. So the tires, we understand, are not. Although they tried to deploy the spike strips before, they were not effective, or they didn't deploy them in time. Going northbound on Western here, and we understand.
On the wrong side of the road.
Right there on the right, and here comes a crosswalk again.
Stopping for pedestrians. Well, that's a good thing.
Stopping for a pedestrian in a very busy intersection. And he slowly continues to try to make his way across, stopping all of traffic anyway.
Get through the traffic in this busy intersection.
You know, LA drivers, why would they even stop? Would you stop?
I mean, that was a...
So as
that was suspicious.
He continues to go. As I was saying, they attempted to put some spike strips down earlier, unsuccessful. The smoke that you saw emanating from under the wheel well there
somewhere else?
It was the brakes. It was the brakes.
But they are trying to use those spike strips to slow him down. You can see he's got the window open. It looks like he's holding on to his cell phone there. And apparently he was yelling out the window trying to talk to people as he went by.
White Chevy Tahoe, again, the suspect believed to be armed and dangerous, going through the street.
Suspect that's wanted by the Sheriff's Department. Right now driving on the wrong side of the road on oncoming traffic. Got his hand out the road again, out of the window again, making gestures at these cars. Again, you probably wouldn't be looking for that if you were making a left turn and a vehicle is driving on the wrong side of the road. Again, wrong side of the road right there. That officer was definitely throwing out a pair of spike strips. That's what we just saw right there, northbound Western. That apparently would be the first time. Unclear if he hit those spike strips. You did see him swerve. You saw that officer throw those spike strips out in front of him. Great maneuver on the Sheriff's Department's part and a good effort. Unclear if they've worked. We're going to keep an eye on this vehicle. Again, you can see this guy now starting to speed up, which is very dangerous. Now he's going to have less brakes and possibly some flat tires. This is going to be some problems right here. Apparently we're coming up on Vernon, as I understand. Whoa! Look at that, the skateboarder right there. That guy almost got it. Again, you know, this is the reasons why these are so dangerous. These are the reasons why, especially on a Friday afternoon on these smaller streets out here, is extremely dangerous. And he's picking up speed. I'm looking that there's a bus up ahead making a turn. Again, look at this. He's taking center lanes. Now he's starting to get a little bit desperate. He's driving a little bit crazier. It's definitely very tense moments for the officers and anybody watching this, and of course the public at large in the area. It's going to be a very dangerous scene as this guy is driving faster than the traffic allows, and vehicle definitely not in the best of shape. Well, you know, it's funny you bring that up right now as we're coming up to another major intersection out here with a lot of cross traffic this afternoon. Again, Friday afternoon, very busy in the downtown area, South Los Angeles. Cut that vehicle off, apparently going very slow. But what the point is right now is that my pilot was just talking with the pilot from the Sheriff's Department down there. Actually, they're probably talking to the Observer, and what we're hearing now is from that other helicopter is domestic violence. There's a domestic violence call. It was the original call for this. It looks like we're coming to a stop out here. The door is open. This guy is getting out of the vehicle. What? Oh, he's got a gun. He has got a gun. He is, and this could end kind of badly out here. He's gesturing very, yeah. This is not going to end very well. Shots fired. And he's still moving, still going out here. Sheriff's Department, he's still moving. You can definitely see a definite bullet wound to this gentleman, this suspect's back out here. It looks like he's collapsing, but he has not dropped the weapon. Has not dropped that weapon, and that is the problem out here. He's still got the weapon in his hand, and as long as that's going on, those officers will not approach him. And, you know, again, you can see the officers from the Sheriff's Department out here right now doing their tactical moves as this guy still has that weapon in his hand. You can see these officers got their guns out. They're giving him commands. Hopefully he'll be listening. Again, though, you can see the Sheriff's Department in force out here trying to get this guy to subdue. Very, very violent end to this pursuit. Apparently started as domestic violence. He landed on his back. I'm getting very clear orders not to show the suspect at all right now, so that's the reason why I'm not making that move. Last we saw him, he was laying on his back, but that weapon was still very clearly in his hand. And officers from the Sheriff's Department, as long as that suspect is armed, and you saw shots fired from that suspect at officers. So again, this is an extremely dangerous suspect. This vehicle that we're looking at right here, that okay, I thought maybe that might be a bullet wound. Yes, that shield is bulletproof. Or is bullet resistant. I'm not sure if there's anything that's bulletproof in this world. Again, though, this could be something they could use to approach that suspect. Again, I don't know if he dropped the weapon or threw it or what he has done with the weapon, but I can tell you officers right here, deputies from the Sheriff's Department, still have their weapons out. They're trying to formulate a plan to take this suspect into custody. Again, though, that suspect extremely defiant. And again, this is a very, very bizarre ending, very violent ending out here in the South Los Angeles area.
He had what appeared to be some kind of a weapon. There was an exchange of gunfire, and that might be the suspect down on the porch. Large fellow on the ground. Yeah, he is on the ground. He's surrounded by sheriff's deputies. But because they believe he had a gun, that's what led to the gunfire. It looks like a chest or a belly wound. We don't know of anybody else who was in the car, but he was a kidnapping suspect. You can see there's some blood on the shirt as well. But LA County Sheriff's deputies, they're not sure exactly the condition of that suspect. So they're not sure if he's still armed, therefore dangerous. So they're keeping a little bit of a wide berth. They're trying to communicate with him just a little bit. But right now, I'm not sure if you can see my shot, but I can see the house surrounded by LA County Sheriff's deputies. They've got their guns drawn. If firefighters are here, at this point they're being held out because this is still a potentially very volatile situation. Looks like when he got out of the car, you can see all the sheriff's deputies. You have our picture now. When he got out of that SUV, he jumped out, apparently made a run for it. And again, Mark, you saw this, I didn't, but I heard you mentioning that you believed he had a gun. There was an exchange of gunfire. I'm not sure if the suspect shot, but apparently LA County Sheriff's deputies did shoot at him.
He made several threatening gestures at the end of the pursuit. He got out of the vehicle. Normally, people get out and they either give up or they run. Those are pretty much the two things they basically did. Okay. He did not do that. He reached into his waistband and made several what would appear to be threatening moves and yelled at his pursuers, yelled at the sheriff's deputies, and gestured wildly. I couldn't tell from our vantage point, from Air 7, some 800 feet in the air, with the camera starting to widen out, whether he actually had a weapon in his hands, but the earlier reports were that the suspect was in fact armed, this kidnapping suspect as he was described to us.
Yeah.
So then that means that they would have been certainly justified, and if they saw a weapon in his hands, they would be justified in firing at him. He is on the porch of this house.
You see a dog there?
And there's a dog there that looks like it's tied up. He's laying down on his back.
Watch that, Paul.
And he is, I can't tell if he's got something in his hands or not.
Yeah, we can't tell either. That looks like a dog from the house, from the neighborhood. He is still moving. He is down.
He's shot.
He is injured, and we do see that there is some blood on his shirt indicating he has been shot. And we're hearing now that he does have a gun in his hand.
Okay.
So that's why LA County Sheriff's deputies right now are keeping a little bit of a wide berth. Make the shot for you just a little bit wider. He apparently has been hit. He is bleeding, but he is still on the ground, and he is moving. And because Sheriff's deputies believe he does have a gun in his hand right now, it wouldn't be in anyone's wide berth for the LA County Sheriff's helicopter in the area. We can't tell if he actually is holding that gun in his hand right now. That's the information we did hear earlier from sheriffs on the ground. Here's some new information we just got. SWAT deputies from the LA County Sheriff's Department, they've been dispatched. Not sure what their ETA is, but they are on the way right now to assist in this situation. That suspect, as you can see, is down on the ground. Appears to have been shot by LA County Sheriff's deputies. We had a tighter shot a short while ago. He's up and he's moving now. That's incredible for someone to be shot, to have a bullet inside their flesh to pierce what appears to be his stomach or maybe his chest and still be able to sit up, communicate, and talk with sheriff's deputies. That is really astonishing. So they might want to also start thinking about, gee, maybe the guy is under the influence of some kind of drugs, alcohol, some kind of medication. It's incredible that someone who's got a bullet in them could actually sit up and still talk. Appears to be very agitated. And as you mentioned, Mark, when the chase came to an end, the suspect out of his car, making threatening gestures toward sheriff's deputies, being very agitated toward deputies not cooperating or complying with their commands, made a run for it. And for some reason, sheriff's deputies, fearing for their own life or the lives of their partners or other folks in the neighborhood, they did shoot at and hit, apparently, that suspect who's down on the ground, breached this property and collapsed on that front porch. He was laying down and appeared to be writhing in pain, but at this point he is sitting. Sheriff's deputies to move in and take that suspect into custody. But the entire area is surrounded. There's absolutely nowhere for that suspect to run or hide. Sheriff's deputies on the street. They got the K-9 unit here, a couple of helicopters up as well. Yeah, you got deputies behind that shield for some measure of protection, and looks like SWAT deputies at one point. They're looking at him, they're pointing at him, and they might be devising a plan to start moving in. At least 4 SWAT deputies have that suspect surrounded.
It appears there an approach is imminent, excuse me, of this individual. Yep, it does appear that way. Here they go. They have that shield that I mentioned earlier.
And watch out for the cat, the bottom of your screen. Doesn't really know what's going on. But that is the property. They're getting closer and closer behind that shield. You've got 2 sheriff's deputies in the light tan shirts, 1 deputy holding up that shield, and then the SWAT deputy just behind him with a high-powered rifle. That could be an automatic weapon, Mark, as you had mentioned earlier. These guys are brutally well fortified. They are extremely well trained, and they go through training year-round to prepare for situations, circumstances just like this. So he might have moved in just to get a closer look. He's got the weapon apparently pointed toward the suspect on the porch. Open up that shot for you just a bit. He's opening up the gate and then backing off just a little bit, all the while most likely still communicating with that suspect. They know exactly what they want him to do, and if they have to, they'll use a variety of different languages. If he doesn't speak English, they could use a variety of other means to communicate with that suspect. They want him to get rid of that gun and surrender peacefully. They approach the suspect, they approach that front gate, they open it, or apparently tried to open it, and now they're backing off on 43rd on at Vermont Avenue.
Okay, so they couldn't open the gate. That's part of the problem here. So that's a tactical problem that has presented itself.
Copy, thank you. Dude, tase him, man, tase him. Man, look at this guy. This is crazy.
They've got their guns trained on that guy. He is coming out. He's got his hands up. He is most likely seriously injured. He's trying to understand what they're trying to tell him. Do you want me to get down on the ground? He's gesturing toward them, and yes, they want his hands up in the air. They want him to get face down on the ground right now. As he approaches, gets closer and closer. This is being a situation less and less threatening for LA County Sheriff's deputies because he's got his hands up. It is an oversized T-shirt, so he could reach theoretically for another weapon if we need to. We're going to reposition. But looks like he's walking right to deputies. He's within just a few feet. They've got their guns drawn and trained on him. He is injured, therefore somewhat incapacitated. We're going to reposition the helicopter to come around to the south side, complying with their very commands right now. They're being very specific. Get down on the ground. We know you're injured. Look at all that blood. He's lost a great deal of blood. We're going to double up now to give you that shot. He is down on the ground, very seriously injured. We have the K-9 unit here. There he is at the bottom of your screen. They're putting the handcuffs on that suspect, and they are treating this gentleman very, very gingerly. They're being very gentle with him. He is in custody, very seriously injured, pulling the K-9 out, pulling that police dog back out. And in time, firefighters, they're very nearby. These are sheriff's deputies, SWAT deputies. They're also very well trained in first aid. They have paramedics with the LA County Sheriff's Department, so if they have to come in and treat the suspect before the firefighters are brought in, that's fine as well. We haven't seen them clear that car just yet, so at any point they're going to approach the SUV. That was a kidnapping suspect. They're going to make sure there's no one else inside that car. This appears to be the only suspect. There was a situation that was a pursuit a short while ago. It ended here on 43rd off of Vermont. Deputies, in fear of their own life, when they saw that suspect with a weapon, fired on that suspect. He was injured, ran for it into the neighborhood, stopped on somebody's porch, collapsed with a handgun, and just moments ago, fortunately, walked away from that handgun, and now being treated by LA County Sheriff's SWAT deputies. These are paramedics, so they're taking care of him right now while LA City firefighters are being held out. This may be a belly wound. This may be a wound to the back as well. That's where the bulk of the blood is right now on his back. And even though they are treating him, he is in police custody. He is in handcuffs, but they'll do all they can to assess his situation. And then in a short while, he'll be transported to a hospital. But first, we're going to bring that shot out just a bit for you because they are starting to pull his trousers down just a bit, and it might get a little graphic for you. But fortunately, this situation, a kidnapping suspect, a wild pursuit, shots fired, a suspect injured. No deputies were hurt to the best of our knowledge, but fortunately the suspect in custody. And in moments, they'll approach that SUV in the middle of your screen, clear that SUV to make sure there's no one else inside. Live from Air 7 HD, I'm Bill Thomas, ABC 7 Eyewitness News.
So again, this pursuit and standoff has come to an end. Deputies cutting off his shirt and cuffing him. They now have him in custody. So this was a very dangerous situation that now has appeared to come to an end.
And coming up in just about 9 minutes, KODC LA 56 Eyewitness News at 7 p.m. with Rudabeh Shahbazi tonight and Mark Brown. Stay tuned. They'll have complete wrap-up of this situation and all the day's news.
And we welcome you back to the KTLA 5 News at 6:30. You can see the wounded gunman now being taken by SWAT officers and sheriff's deputies on a backboard. He's going to be taken to a nearby ambulance. This was the end of a police pursuit where the gunman got out, pulled a gun, fired at the police, then took refuge on a porch nearby. He was shot in the abdomen. He has been bleeding for well over an hour, and now he has finally surrendered and is getting the medical treatment share that we thought that he would get minutes and minutes ago.
It has been an incredible, last hour and a half that we've been watching this. That the man is still alive is incredible, and that he was standing and like drinking water on the porch, and it was just one of those things that you've never seen before. We want to go to Steve Couge. He's on the ground, part of our team coverage here on this standoff in South LA that has now come to an end. Steve.
Well, Sherry, yeah, we just saw the man being loaded up into the ambulance. His friends and family have now gathered here on the police tape, as close as they can to see him. They're cheering his name on. Family have identified the suspect to us as Miguel Hector Pugo. The story we're getting is that he may have stopped by his house and tried to take his stepdaughter. His wife then called police, so that's where the kidnapping charge comes from. The chase starts. The suspect, Miguel, comes back here to the neighborhood, goes to his family's house, says, "I'm not going back to jail." This is what they told me. They knew he had a gun on him. They knew he was serious. They were very, very worried for his safety. A few minutes ago, we saw what we were told was this man's 3 sisters walking back here through the crime tape, trying to approach him. Maybe that is what urged him to surrender and have this finally end peacefully. Again, this man, Miguel Hector Pugo, being loaded up into the ambulance. We're going to have much more on this story coming up at the KTLA 5 News at 10 o'clock, so stay with us.
All right, real quick, up to Tim Lynn for about 30 seconds to give us his vantage point. Tim.
Well, you can see right there, they brought him down on that backboard, placed him into Rescue 99 for LA City Fire. And once they get him established in that ambulance, off he'll go, more than likely over to County USC for trauma support there to treat him for that wound. So that's the latest. Let me send it back down to you.
All right, Tim Lynn in Sky 5. The end of a police pursuit where the gunman fired as he got out of an SUV in South LA, fired at police. They fired back. They struck him. That was well over an hour and a half ago. The man stood bleeding on the porch. Now it's ended. He's getting medical attention.
That's right. Thank you so much for joining us here on the KTLA News at 6 for this breaking news in South LA. We'll have more tonight on KTLA News at 10 and 11. Good night.
That had no redeeming social value.
No, not so.
We didn't even say police are looking for the woman.
Well, we said they're reviewing the tape, but still, I know. Anyway, it's 5:45. We're going to go to Mark Mester, but we're going to go to breaking news now instead. Let's go to Mark Kono, who is
over at Chase San Pedro.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got you there. Thanks.
Mark, can you hear us?
You can see it. We'll talk until he picks it up. You can see what appears.
We're turning northbound here.
Mark, if you can hear us, take over. Until then, we'll just state the obvious about what we're seeing on TV.
All right, Mark is having
TV5 has the police ship inside. We'll maintain visual. Thank you very much.
All right, Mark.
Okay, guys, sorry about that. I believe you guys have already tossed to me here. We are just in some very congested airspace with additional helicopters and inbound approaches into LAX. But this is a police pursuit. The LAPD in pursuit of this vehicle here for the past 5 to 6 minutes. You see that white sedan turning northbound here. He has been circling the general vicinity of Avalon, San Pedro, 108th, 109th, 110th. In this general vicinity here, this is going to be the Watts area as he makes an eastbound turn. We understand that he was initially wanted for some sort of a reckless driving infraction here, and now we have the LAPD in pursuit. We have at least 4 units of the LAPD in pursuit of this guy as he makes his way kind of through this general vicinity. He has, for the most part, been driving in circles. We will say that much. It's going to be north of the 105 freeway and just east of the 110 freeway, so it's right in the corridor for LAX, right in the corridor for Hawthorne Airport as well, so you can imagine the airspace here is incredibly busy at this point with some of the inbound arrivals and the outbound departures here. But again, this is going to be in South LA, the Watts area here, traveling eastbound and now northbound in some of the neighborhood streets here now. We don't know how many folks are in the vehicle at this point. Obviously, we do have a driver. We don't know if it's male or female or if there are any additional passengers at this point here. We will try and find that out for you, but he's just kind of winding around in circles, as you can see, coming through the neighborhood. Guys, I'm going to have to hand it back to you for just a moment.
All right, Mark, thank you. Let's bring in Ginger Chan. And Ginger, what you're seeing here, at some point will police say, hey, you know, there's going to be kids that are getting ready to go to school soon. Not right now. It's 5:47 in the morning. But at what point might they back off?
Okay.
I think in a situation where they do see that they're getting closer to schools, the intersections are getting busier. You know, this is a time when maybe not so much kids, but people are, you know, walking to the bus stop and that type of a situation. Some of these streets, you know, Mark is talking about 108th, 109th, 111th, even though you see that it is residential, but also these are some larger streets that people would be driving on. He says it's just off the freeway, so through Watts, South LA, we can see that he's crossing through an intersection. And these are areas where they don't have the crosswalks where everything is stopped. Instead, they have have the crosswalks where you see how everything is marked. And that's where you know you're supposed to stop when people are crossing, but there are no signals telling you, hey, this is a crosswalk, so like in a situation here. So very dangerous, of course, with this guy who's driving at, I wouldn't say a high rate of speed, but he is still going fast on streets. And as he is moving through some of these smaller streets now, you can see that it is quite the tight squeeze for all the people who live in this area, and maybe even some people who are coming off the 110, the 105, really close to those areas. Some people can see some of the airships, the helicopters, and that might be a reason that people are going to be slow in this spot as well, guys.
Yeah, we also are getting reports right now that this is indeed a stolen car. Very little information at this moment about the suspect. We do know that this started just a few minutes ago. Mark Kono was one of the first to arrive over the scene. Let's get right back up to Mark Kono and give us the latest from his perspective. Mark.
That's right, Megan and Ginger. He's going to be getting onto Imperial Highway here, just on the north side of the 105 freeway. Imperial Highway is a major thoroughfare that runs east-west just on the north side of the 105, and he is now eastbound on Imperial Highway, just coming up to an intersection here. We've got some cross-traffic that he's had to slow down for, but there he is in that number one lane of traffic. And, you know, we're talking about speeds probably in excess of 50 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour. And for street travel, that is fairly fast, and you can see he's kind of breaking away from the rest of the vehicles here that he is just passing up. Now, looking back, there are at least 4 units of the LAPD who are in pursuit of this guy alongside, while a helicopter that is overhead now. He's coming up on another intersection. Stop traffic light just turned green. He's going to be kind of weaving in and out and making a northbound turn. So he's going to be northbound from Imperial Highway on Compton, going away from the 105 freeway. So he is now coming into the Watts area and just into, well, what looks like one of the housing projects here. We'll try and get which one this is for you here, but he's now entered one of the housing projects, and he is going to be in the interior of it. It looks like, from what we can tell at first glance, just perhaps one person, the driver inside this vehicle. He's going to be coming around the horseshoe here, so he's going to be making kind of a sweeping right turn, a little bit of a stretch, and then he'll be making another sweeping right turn, likely, as he comes around the horseshoe here in this housing project. Now, okay, now he's going to be around the horseshoe, and now he's going to be making his way over towards the main street again. We believe that's going to be Compton. So he does have a car in front of him that he's going to be coming up to pretty quick here. So for that reason, he's making that evasive turn to the left. So now he's northbound, coming out of the housing project, and well, he's going to be staying in there. Now he's just kind of making a left. If you want to pull out to a slightly wider shot, just to give the folks perspective as to where we are, Eliana, we can just kind of widen out just for a little bit without losing the shot here. But we're in a housing project, and widen out just a tad bit. Yeah, there we go. And he's going to be leaving the project and heading westbound now, and so that looks like what he's going to be doing. Westbound over towards the main street again, and so now he is back on open streets, and in just half a block or so he'll have to make a left or a right turn, and we'll see what he does. We did understand that the left front brakes were extremely hot, red by some of the folks who were able to see it here, but northbound now, so now he is on a major thoroughfare. He's out on open streets, and the LAPD again is making their way up to catch up to this guy. Again, 4 units of the LAPD in pursuit of this guy, a reckless driver, a stolen vehicle. This guy was lit up apparently, and the pursuit was on. Guys?
Now, Mark, obviously the helicopters know exactly where this guy is, but we can't really see the officers behind him. You're saying there were about 4 officers following him. Was he able to lose them, or are they still behind him?
They're essentially maybe 50 to 100 yards behind. As he was coming through the housing project, he was able to get a little bit of distance, but as he left the housing project, they were able to kind of get their speed back up, and so now they are pretty close behind. 4 units, I will say, 4 units are in pursuit, and that has been the case for the past several minutes that we've been watching. But he is now westbound through the neighborhood here, and he's going to be approaching, Avalon, San Pedro, and this is just, the general vicinity that this guy has been making his circles. So it stands to reason that this guy might be from the area, that this guy might know the area, and so not leaving the area, you're generally more comfortable, as far as navigating the streets in an area that you're more familiar with, and this might certainly be the case. He's coming around an elementary school, and now he's turning southbound, and we will see where he's at, but he's just kind of navigating his way around an elementary school at this point now, turning eastbound around the south side of the elementary school. And again, this guy
is, being pursued. He's got 4 units behind him, an airship above, and, we're following him as well. And so the likelihood that this guy actually gets away probably not very high at this point. So we will, effort the shot here and make sure that we stay with him. But he is just, again, traveling at a fairly high rate of speed, kind of weaving in and out of traffic intersections there. And so coming up on cross traffic occasionally. And so this guy is what you would characterize as a dangerous driver. That is definitely the case here. Now just kind of traveling north, now just north on this residential street, and we will kind of follow along and see what he does in terms of traffic on the roadway ahead of him. He's got one car that's turning left right in front of him, so as he comes up on that car, he's making another evasive turn to the left to avoid that. Traffic in the vicinity, the overall picture is traffic is very light at this point. Go ahead.
No, and that's certainly good news. We can kind of make out almost sparks coming from that front
Yeah, he
left
referenced
wheel.
it earlier, the heat from the braking. It could set that tire on fire eventually.
Yeah, that's definitely a possibility here. It could do damage to the tire, it could do damage to the brakes. If the brake rotors are that hot, you can certainly assume that this guy has been traveling very fast and is doing some heavy braking. And so if the brake rotors are indeed that hot, then yeah, indeed the fire danger is there, and that might work in law enforcement's advantage in terms of being able to disable the vehicle, and we certainly hope that is the case. Now on this main street, he's just kind of traveling southbound about a mile away from the 105 freeway. He's going to be passing slower traffic. There are a couple of cars ahead of him, but for the most part the traffic is fairly light. As you can see, he doesn't have many issues in terms of being able to navigate the streets here, so he is freely able to move any which way he wants. So really we kind of hope for the possibility that maybe the car at some point becomes disabled, or maybe they're able to pit him, or because of the fact that he is traveling essentially in circles around the Watts area, maybe they will be able to set up some kind of a spike strip situation. But without any kind of knowledge of where this guy is going to be, it kind of makes that exceedingly difficult here. But there's that same elementary school that we were talking about just a couple of minutes ago. He's kind of making a turn or a turn around it. So this is a familiar area where we just saw him traveling just a couple of minutes ago. So there he is, and now he's going straight over off to the west, over to the main street, and we'll see what he does. Does he make a left turn? Does he make a right turn? Or in fact just go through the intersection and go straight here? But he's going to have to slow down at any rate, because there are cars that he's going to have to contend with, a lot of cross traffic there. So it looks like he's going to negotiate the right-hand turn northbound, and he's going to be encountering some slower traffic there. And as he tries to get away from the LAPD, he's going to have to negotiate some of that slower traffic, and there he goes. He's really moving, isn't he? Look at that northbound on the main street. Go ahead, guys. What's up?
Well, the question that I have is, this guy's clearly dangerous. He's a menace to society. At what point is the LAP less likely to do a pit maneuver and leave that up to the California Highway Patrol? What, if you know it, what would be the criteria where they say this guy is about to hurt somebody?
Well, they're going to pit him certainly if speeds allow, and they think that it's a situation where the public and or property are minimally affected here. Right now, I would not say that is the ideal situation, in that this guy is traveling at a very high rate of speed. He's kind of blowing through intersections there and weaving in and out of lanes, so I wouldn't say that this is kind of the ideal situation for a pit maneuver. But he is now kind of moving northbound away from the area that we have been following him around, and now he's kind of moving away up towards South LA, up towards Manchester, in fact, and so he is kind of making his way north out of that area that we had seen him making circles in. So we, will continue to watch here, but certainly when you talk about a pit maneuver, we're talking about speeds somewhere in the 30, 35 miles per hour range, and in a situation where it does where there is minimal impact to pedestrians, other commuters on the road. And so we're coming up on an intersection, at least the law enforcement guys are, and because of his excessive speed, he's actually pulling away from some of the ground units. They are probably looking at maybe 2 blocks behind this guy as he makes his way northbound here. Of course, the police helicopter is right on him, and so they are kind of watching very closely to see what he does. But in terms of the guys on the ground, the 4 units that are following him on the ground, they're every bit of 2 blocks behind him as they make their way northbound here. So this is as far north, in fact, this is as far north as we've seen him go, and now he's made a westbound turn to the left, and
we'll see if we can track him. And there he is coming through the neighborhood streets. I've got you there, just off your left. And now he's going to be approaching a secondary main street here. And again, some of these ground units, the 4 ground units that were in pursuit, are about a block behind, so they are gaining some ground here. But now he's going to be making a right-hand turn. You saw that cross traffic there, very nearly colliding with him, and so to avoid that, he made a right turn northbound, and now he's going to be making another left turn off to the west. Now we are just looking about, okay, gotcha. Now we're about a couple of blocks away from the 110 freeway, just on the east side of it, as this guy kind of makes his way. He's slowing down a little bit as he kind of traverses, you know, the neighborhood here, coming up on a main street where he will have to make a decision: do I go left or do I go right? So let's see what he does. Does he continue to go north? And yes, he continues to go north. He's made a right turn, now northbound. Now this is going to be one of the major streets here, just on the parallel, just parallel the 110 freeway, about 2 blocks to the east. And so we continue to watch this guy. He continues to evade the efforts of the LAPD to stop him at this point. The airship is up above. We have ground units who are, well, essentially out of the picture at this point, being about 2 to 3 blocks behind him. They're just kind of following the report by the airship at this point, so no one in close proximity to him, at least on the ground.
Down south of this location, near 109th, 108th, he is now traveling westbound towards the Harbor Freeway. Here, oh, there's a pedestrian. Now we're starting to see more foot traffic. That guy wasn't very happy, right? Didn't stop, but now he is having to slow down a little bit because of the traffic there. That was Broadway that he just crossed over. We're trying to get a location on, we're listening in on the scanner by the LAPD, and they will give out locations in terms of where these suspects are. But he is traveling westbound on this major. We're widening out, just went under the 110 Harbor Freeway. He's going to continue westbound. All right, just went under the Harbor Freeway there, past Broadway. Now heading westbound. This is at Florence, westbound Florence at Figueroa now. So now he's going to be heading kind of towards the Crenshaw district here, north of Inglewood, if he continues westbound on Florence. He slows down a bit. Now he's making a northbound turn. We'll get that. Now he's on Hoover. He's on northbound Hoover Street, coming up from Florence. Oh, yeah, definitely. We're seeing more traffic on the roadways. And these surface streets, these major north-south surface streets that parallel the 110 Harbor Freeway, are used as alternates. A lot of people don't like taking that 110 freeway because it's so jammed up. Westbound 66th Street, so staying on the numbered street. Now he's going to turn southbound on another street from 66th Street. So now he's making his way south. Why he's going the way he is, if he's heading to a specific location, unclear. What goes through the minds of these individuals, we never know. But we do know that he doesn't want to be taken into custody, but he will be. The LAPD's up overhead, LAPD air support, squad cars down below. They did back off a bit, and we're going to try to see here if we can see the closest patrol car, the LAPD patrol car down below, because they were several blocks south of him when he was traveling northbound. There you go. We widen out. See that? Well, you don't see anybody. Nobody. Oh, boy, here they come the other way. Here, all right, let's see what they do here. We'll push in. They're going to make a U-turn. You saw those 3 patrol cars there. Coming up now on Florence, Vermont. He was on Vermont there, making northbound trek. Now he's heading back eastbound on Florence here. And they're
back southbound on possibly Vermont or a surface street that parallels Figueroa here in the South Los Angeles area.
Scott, one of the things that I'm also seeing is this is staying on surface streets for the most part. Has this chase at any point been up on a freeway at all?
You know, not that we're aware of, and it looks like at this point it's staying in the general vicinity of South Los Angeles. You see a pretty erratic right turn now next to a school. You know, fortunately the kids aren't at school yet, so we're glad to be able to report that is the case, and not too many people are out on the sidewalks. But you know, we've seen too many of these things end with someone being injured when an individual suspect like this is driving so erratically. I think they're turning northbound now. Now they just made a U-turn and they're coming back to the east, so back towards the 110 freeway. But to answer your question, I don't believe that the pursuit has been on the freeway yet. Certainly, though, this person is very...
A square mile earlier when we first arrived on scene on the pursuit. And Skyfire, oh, he spun out, lost control up against the curb there. Let's see if he tries to continue on. Yes, he does. I don't know how he just sort of spun out there on his own.
And just about Vermont, it looks like now maybe the vehicle they're unable to control it. Possibly there's damage to the car because it looks like they can't keep the vehicle straight at this point.
Scott, it looks like they.
If that's the case, hopefully it'll end soon.
I thought for a second they might have a flat tire. Where do you see? How are authorities within your frame of view? We can't really see any police from the camera.
We have a helicopter overhead. There are units that are going to surround this vehicle now. It appears there's some type of damage to the car, so this individual's not going to be able to drive at a high rate of speed and still control the vehicle. They decided early on not to just get right on the tail of this individual and make them drive faster. They backed off once the helicopter's overhead. They've stopped now. They've got out of the vehicle. We have patrol cars swarming this area. It appears to be a man at this point. He knows that the police are coming. At this point, getting back inside his vehicle. That's a very dangerous point at the end of a pursuit if he doesn't obey the officer's commands. And he did go back.
He went back in and got something.
And now he's on foot.
Yeah, he got something, and it appeared as if he either put it under his shirt or in a pocket. Now it looks like maybe in his right hand there, Scott. I'm not sure how good your monitor is.
How close are...
Yeah, it's never as good as yours. If it's a weapon, this is an extremely dangerous situation. But it looks like now his hands are up. Police have him down prone on the sidewalk here in South Los Angeles, and the pursuit is over. You know, we watch these things, and what we want to happen every single time is nobody getting hurt, even the suspect, and it appears that that is the case. So fortunately, this has ended without incident. We didn't see the car hit any other vehicles, although it was very close. We don't believe that it hit or there was anyone injured in this case, and now the suspect, you can see, is in custody.
Ooh, wow. That, thankfully, that ended peacefully. What was on this guy's mind? What the heck was going on? That is strange.
Yeah, and again, I think that as much as anything can show you what police face every time they have something like this, because you really are just operating from a position of without knowledge, because you don't know why this person jumped back in the car at the last second before they took off running. But authorities have handled this. The pursuit is over. So that is about a 4-minute run through South Los Angeles for us with Air 7 HD above it. Scott Reif, thank you very much. Along with Leslie Sykes, I'm Philip Palmer. It is Wednesday, April 29th.